Dawn Daze on 101 TKO Radio.
Yeah.
What's love, y'all? It's a blessing. It's a blessing to be here another day. Pod day, full circle vibes. Shout out to all those celebrating the birthday today. Know we got some great ones. Shout out to Steph Curry. Shout out to Einstein.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Equals MC squared vibes.
Yes, yes.
We here. We bringing that scientific element to the culture. We got to get scientific, ladies and gentlemen. It's certainly spiritual warfare out here, but we rise above every single time.
Every time. Don't let it get you down.
It's also 4 years since the world shut down, talking about spiritual warfare, March 13th, 2020.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
4 years.
The world
It's
changed.
like we've been in the 2020s, I guess, for a whole college length of time, right? What did we learn?
4 years,
what
high
did
school,
What
college,
are we
yeah.
graduating from?
Yeah, what are we graduating from? It's definitely a major thing to consider.
Yeah.
How that affects our lives, how that affects many different generations. Sending so much love to those honoring risen angels as we consider as well all those that might have learned new parts of themselves during that time. All those that found new passions and took a leap of faith. I know that's definitely something with us. It inspired us to take our relationship to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, not only our relationship to the next level, but then in that same year, 2020, we established our own marketing agency. So we definitely felt that we were in New York during that time. I know Atlanta was a little bit of a different story, and that was why we also came to visit Houston to see family. And the South handled things a little differently than the North, but I think we all felt it in our own unique way, and we're all just learning still from it. I saw a TikTok the other day. I'm like, okay, I'm accomplishing all the goals that I set in 2023, but I was a setback in 2022, which is the same ones I wrote in 2021. And really, it's the same goals I've had since 2019, but the 2020 pandemic threw it off. So whatever your goals are, whenever you started them, whether it was 2019 since the day you were born or you decided them yesterday, just keep trying and keep showing up. That's what it's all about, right?
That's what it's all about. Perseverance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Put that P, pushing P. Pandemic, plandemic, perseverance, pressure, paradise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, almighty peace. That's the goal. So, peace and blessings to y'all this March 14th. Definitely a great full circle moment for us as well. We were in New Orleans this time last week. So, we pre-recorded our show last week and had the opportunity to finally go check out the It's All a Blur tour with Cole.
And Sexy Red.
What's up?
That was a big moment for her because I saw online that was her first time on stage since she just recently gave birth. So she really killed it. She had great background dancers, and Cole, of course, did his thing. I was actually surprised. I wanted his set to be a little bit longer, but I was still really happy with like how it all came together, especially because him and Drake have their songs together too. I really like too that they were like, making it into this is feeling like we're at a Super Bowl. They've got people there that are commentating and doing it live, and even the stage kind of looked like it was a Super Bowl setup, so like it was on a football field. I really loved that. We were way up high, but I actually appreciated it because you could see more of the visuals that way. The people we were sitting around were really cool. It was a dope vibe. I really appreciated it. And it was your first time in New Orleans. So what did you think of just the city of New Orleans and what you got to see for the first time?
Oh, yeah. New Orleans, you owe me nothing. Food was on point. Vibes were on point.
Yeah, the food was so good.
Definitely shout out to the hotel. Shout out to
Le Pavilion Hotel.
For sure. Yeah, just vibes all around. Definitely a nice little taste of the city.
Yeah.
Look forward to going back. Maybe around the Mardi Gras or Essence Fest time frame.
Necessary.
Yeah, we're going to pull back up.
What was your favorite part?
I mean, for certain, just being able to get that first introduction. I mean, the whole trip, really.
Yeah.
Drake and Cole is Drake and Cole. But definitely, just being able to take that first bite of New Orleans.
Yeah.
Being able to enjoy my crawfish brunch dish. Had the biscuit vibe. Smothered, with the nice little souffle. seasonings were just a true delicacy.
Yeah.
I understand. I understand the hype.
Yeah, I would say that the food was probably my favorite part too. And our hotel had free peanut butter and jelly sandwiches between 4 and 5. And the tourist in me, I'm just like, free food. I made a couple of those for us. But yeah, I had a vegan dish too while we were there. That was really, really good. Shout out to Bearcat CBD. And of course, we went to Monty's on the Square across from Cafe Du Monde in the French Quarter. So every time we ate something, I was my taste buds and my dopamine was on high. So yeah, definitely a big highlight of the trip. Yeah, it was cool also getting a chance to pre-record our show and like listening to it for the first time, like not, we usually we're doing this live and we have to listen back to it live, but actually listening to it in the app, in the 101 TKO radio app, is the best way to listen to it, to experience it. You'll be able to see us, hear the music. It's a whole vibe. So that was cool to be able to like walk around and explore New Orleans and also hear our own show back in real time. So shout out to all y'all that get to listen live. Make sure you tell your friend and tell a friend, okay?
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Shout out to the entire New Orleans community that embraced us. We look forward to just bringing 101 TKO radio to all of these different cities.
That's right.
There's a great vision for the horizon, and we want to definitely put that walking in the moonwalking. We would definitely want to walk our talk and ensure that we're continuing to explore all these beautiful ecosystems, that have a foundation of our culture, that have persevered, that have been key alchemists.
So true. All the street performers too, the amazing musicians,
Oh yeah,
and finding a way to like just make it work no matter what's going on in your life. You have to respect that.
100%. Definitely a lot of great music. New Orleans, again, very musical city. Clearly a very important city to Drake as well because of the connection to Cash Money.
Yeah.
So shout out to
Birdman.
that whole entity, that whole ecosystem. Again, it's levels to this, man. It's levels to how we understand the culture's evolution. Because when we think about hip hop specifically and Drake and Cole being able to unite, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to my light skinned brethren. Always gotta, shout out Kendrick as well anytime I mention their names. But when it comes down to the economic aspect of how we're able to take ownership in this culture, we gotta have the responsible conversations. It's no secret that there's a level of critique and criticism, and typically when people rise to a certain height, we have to have certain conversations.
Yeah.
Whether it be Ye, whether it be Sexy Red, again,
Puff.
it's a lot of layers. It's a lot of layers. It's a lot of layers. So what are we doing to have those honest conversations? How are we coming together to really hold ourselves accountable and ensure that, again, we have a good time, but at the same time, we're not killing ourselves slowly. We're not going out here and creating an ecosystem that hurts others just for our benefit.
Yeah.
So again, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Again, shout out to New Orleans. I know that city has been through a lot, and just to be able to go and enjoy that vibe, don't take it for granted, and just be able to, again, give back to some of those while we were there. That was a blessing too, just touching those that are from New Orleans, that are born and raised. Shout out to those brothers that we met that, blessed us with some of those beads and everything. It was a little interesting vibe. I was like, hold up, brother, you know what I'm saying? I don't got no cash from me. I'll try to get you the cash, but they try to do the little finesse real quick, like, oh yeah, it's for donation, brother. It's a donation. I'm like, hey, bro, I'll give it back to you right now, bro. But I understand how it goes. You gotta definitely pay it forward when you go to any city, and just keep your head on the swivel. Be aware.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk more about the impact of culture and generational trauma and healing conversations when we come back from this music break. Don't go anywhere. You're Moonwalking with Dawn Daze on 101 TKO Radio. Yes, welcome back. You are Moonwalking with Dawn Daze on 101 TKO Radio.
Chill.
Shout out to Nebula. I really appreciate that song just for what it was for us and, just that time of manifestation and healing. That little meditation you heard at the end, yes, that was me. And I did that in one take. I took some crystals, had some good smells around me, took a deep breath, and just went for it. And sometimes that's the power of just being in the moment and feeling the spirit, So shout out to Nebula and shout out to you listening and tuning in right now, whether you're on the app, whether you're on YouTube or you're on TikTok or Instagram. Thank you for just being in this space with us. We honor you and we appreciate you. Daze, before we left, we was talking a little bit about, healing conversations and how we can take the culture to the next level, generational stuff, all that stuff. What you got to say about that?
That song symbolizes a lot of it. That song was one of the first songs I made in 2020 on that project 2020 Vision, and the entire purpose of creating that was a healing journey.
Yeah.
And we're at that point where all across the board it's necessary to do that shadow work.
Yep. Can't run away from it.
If you neglect it, it will consume you. And it's at a particular juncture where now that we're 4 years after the pandemic, all those lessons, or after the pandemic started, rather, on March 13th, 2020, again, different perspectives for different people, whether you acknowledge it or not is a conversation of its own. Is no doubt, though, that major large-scale media, it was no joke. There was a consistent, overwhelming conversation around health.
Yeah.
And
health on all fronts.
On all fronts.
Physical, spiritual, mental.
So when we talk about the process of healing, and when we talk about grief, when we talk about mourning, when we talk about all these different layers, a lot of that song inspired that. That song was written right around the time of Kobe, Gigi, and the other beautiful souls that had that very, very difficult, traumatizing, and just it's a very lasting, everlasting symbolism that moment brings us to this day.
Absolutely.
So when it comes down to that relationship with our parents and all those parents and children that were on that helicopter in 2020, that was another moment before March 13th that the entire world stopped.
Yeah.
So Nebula is about honoring those in the stars and honoring the star within us.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think when it comes to honoring the star that you are within, I think a lot of times we get caught up in comparing ourselves to other stars because we're all made of stardust, right? It's not about, you being better than another person. It's not about you putting yourself above anybody else. It's always about you being the best version of yourself when you're honoring that star power within, right? I think a lot of times we look at the algorithm and the numbers and the money and whatever else, and we just think that we have to perform to please another person or to, go against our own just innate energy, right? So you have to continuously come back to honoring yourself for exactly who you are and remembering that you're made the way that you are for a reason, right? If someone was just like you, then, that wouldn't be... then you wouldn't be that unique person. You're not trying to be anybody else but yourself. And we have to continuously remember that. I think that a lot of times we're shown so much online thinking that we have to be this one version. And now you just feel like we're constantly seeing copy and paste of other people. But not only should you not compare yourself to your peers, but also comparing yourself to your family, your parents. A lot of times we think we have to live up to the expectation of the people that love us, and do what they ask us to do. And to some extent you do, but once you reach a certain age or a certain level of enlightenment, you understand that you're not supposed to be living for anybody else but yourself. And that can be such a difficult and sensitive conversation. But as we all elevate and just want to heal that generational trauma, that's where it starts. That's where it starts.
I think it's very interesting. And this is where we have to be very diligent in how we go beyond the words we use.
Yeah.
Because what is self without those who build us up? Mm-hmm. How do we define self? How do we create a proper ecosystem, a proper force field around us that allows us to acknowledge the yin and the yang?
Yeah.
Yes, we are individuals, but no individual got to this planet by themselves.
Yep.
Beyond the higher power, the highest, there's a very real process. There are humans that come together.
Yep. To make sure that you can be here right now.
Everybody has, certainly after they're born, has a unique experience in coming to terms with who their key supporters or caretakers are. That said, to create a life, it takes a team.
Yeah.
And that's where, when we talk about this healing component, when we talk about what's going on in our world, in our ecosystem, in our community, and how we translate the lessons that we learn with our families to these major stages.
Yeah.
And your major stage could be a presentation at your company. Your major stage could be a competitive sports game, whether you're under 18 or over 18 in an adult league. All across the board, we need to continue to remind ourselves that as we navigate who we are as an individual, we have to honor the ecosystem around us, and we have to be very diligent with what we allow into our world and what we don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the vibrations that we embrace, being able to be responsible and with the energy we put out there, and being able to study, because a lot of times ignorance can be bliss, but there also can be an element of destruction that comes with a lack of knowledge. When we self-destruct, when we continue toxic habits, the effects can be lasting.
Yeah.
So that's where Jay's Desire in the building. What's going on? What's going on?
Another TKO family member.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. It's certainly a major responsibility that we all have to have these conversations, to ensure that when we inspire, we're inspiring responsibly.
Yeah.
We're giving folks the full story. And when we were listening to Earn Your Leisure last night, shout out to those guys over there that were interviewing Kenny Burns. And Kenny Burns is a name that I came across when I was actually interning at Combs Enterprises back in 2015 when I was a 20-year-old. I came in under Derek Ferguson, the chief financial officer, who was the chief growth officer at that time. And it's truly humbling to reflect on what's occurred in these past 8 to 9 years since I've interned. And even my experience at Combs Enterprises, never directly crossing paths with Sean Combs, but working with all of his employees.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, having a very close personal relationship with Uncle Al B. Shore. He and my father have built a brotherhood over the years. So when we talk about family business, when we talk about these experiences, this is a very real thing. And as I understand what I've done in my life, what I've experienced in my life, it's incredibly important to take responsibility, to reflect, and to understand that with new knowledge, with new ecosystems, we have to do the work to heal. We can't repeat cycles with a level of ignorance.
Yeah.
And just choiceful neglect. Hey, I know that's wrong, but I'm going to still do it. Not only do you hurt yourself, you hurt those that are around you. And you might not even know who you're hurting when you continue in another toxic cycle, when you put yourself first. So when you put yourself first in a toxic way, you want to, again, certainly focus on your health. You want to prioritize self-love, self-care, but to be negligent is a very, very dangerous thing.
Yeah.
And when I see other, again, dynamics with parents and children in the industry, Romeo and Master P, and Master P being another mogul that has been celebrated in many regards, and just even me having certain intense moments with my father, is one of those delicate things that we have to recognize. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
I know you've experienced a level of family business as well, but respectfully, I think that there are unique patterns that divine masculine counterparts and divine feminine counterparts experience that are similar and that are different.
I agree. Yeah. I think that with what you've experienced, you took that leap of faith a little bit before I did. Not only that, you were working with your dad before I came along too. So I've learned a lot about the family business and the sensitivity of it through you guys, and then translated that in my own healing journey and how I related to my family. I think all four of our parents can agree that they've got that entrepreneurial spirit, and all four of them manifest that in different ways. And we're learning in real time, what we want to be as parents. What precedent do we want to set for ourselves? We're not married yet. We don't have kids yet. And that is intentional, right? We're trying to do as much work as we can on this front end to heal with our parents, to heal with ourselves before we take those next steps. And it's definitely a journey. I mean, I've had a few moments with my mom and my dad where we're not seeing eye to eye. We do see things differently. And that can be really hurtful, because you just assume that since there's someone that is close to you, or that they raised you, or that you grew up with them, that they're going to understand everything you're saying and everything you're feeling. And that is the challenge of adulthood that I don't think a lot of us, know fully going into it as we get older, that there are going to be those disconnects with people that are the closest to you. I remember Kid from Kid and Play, he had a whole conversation with you, Daze, about that, and that was so enlightening because it just shows you that it's real. Like, we're not the only ones that deal with this, and the more we talk about it, the more we can work to heal it. Stuffing it is never the answer. I will say for me, though, blame it on me being a woman, blame it on me being a Taurus, blame it on me just being Dawn. I take longer to respond a lot of times. I need time. I need reflective energy. I need silence, to be able to come up with that right step forward. And I think we're all unique in that way, right? And it's all about just finding the way that works for you when it comes to having these healing conversations. And remembering that it is a journey, not a destination. I shout out to my dad. He said that recently. Yeah.
Definitely one of those poetic phrases that reigns true from season to season.
Yeah.
Certain takes a village. You gotta embrace the journey and ensure that when you are climbing that mountain, you take time to recognize the details in the journey. You take time to interact with the different souls, different creatures that you might come across. You take time to see the various trees and the
Give them that
flowers.
visual.
All of these unique things with this unique mountain. Take in that nature and ensure that you're being diligent in the sounds that you hear, with the scents that you smell. It all really translates.
Yeah.
And really having that clear vision with how we're looking at life and appreciating it all with gratitude, but at the same time, not allowing anything to hold us back from rising to the altitude that's meant for us.
Yeah. Being honest.
Exactly. And that's where, you want to embrace everything with love. In that same regard, love comes in many forms. Love sometimes comes in an intense form where you're protecting yourself, where you're protecting others when there's a threat. And that's one of those things that we have to be very diligent about as we rise in the ranks, whether it's a literal mountain or you're climbing a theoretical mountain. With us meeting at PepsiCo, both working on Mountain Dew, essentially meeting at that mountain in different senses, we had a lot of things we had to confront. And this is not about crying or whining about what we think is wrong with the world. As we climb and as we try to redesign the world as we see it, when we get to that mountain peak and we see, okay, now we can get a lay of the land. Here's what we want to change. We want to make it a very, very diligent responsibility of ours to understand how we use all these forces, because when it comes down to, again, quote unquote, breaking out of the matrix, you have to respect that matrix.
Yeah.
You have to respect the rules so that you can master them and change them, break them if you will.
Shout out to the people on TikTok. We got a I know that's right from my line sister Jordan and everyone else that's tuning in, because that is so true, Daze. You really spitting. And I think we can continue this conversation a little bit more, but let's take a little music break. And we right back. You are Moonwalking with Dawn Daze on 101 TKO Radio.
Hey, yo, what's up? It's your boy Moolah Mo, and make sure you get in front of Johnny.
Blessings, all that. What's poppin'? You are Moonwalking with Dawn Daze on 101 TKO Radio.
Knocking them out the box.
Yes, Lord. 1, 2. Hit that 1, 2 step and slide in that app store. Download 101 TKO Radio on your beloved device.
Available on Apple and Android, especially
Yes,
if you're
Lord.
trying to listen to the music. If you really want to get in the vibe and the full
Oh
experience.
yeah, we building something serious. It's important that we again own the things that we care about a lot. You want to navigate ownership in that, and the technological aspect of ownership is a necessary conversation we got to continue to have.
Yeah.
And that's where it's important to heal any generational nonsense that makes you think you're not capable of doing anything you put your mind to. Not only can you be the talent, but you could also handle the tech side. And we are seeing this come to life in real time through 101 TKO Radio, through Privy Stonecrest, through many different entities from Atlanta to DC, Maryland, Virginia, to Houston, to New York, to Chicago, Detroit, New Orleans, all across the globe. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the whole West Coast. And another one of those generational things. We were just at Chubb Rock Show, healing energy to the OG Chubb. He was out today, so we got to step in with his team a little bit. Before we came over here to Privy Stonecrest for our 101 TKO Radio feature show. And just being in that space, soaking up that game is always a blessing. Yeah. That said, one of the OGs in that space, Marv, and I don't want to call y'all OGs and disrespect y'all. Again, I respect the seniority. Shout out to all the brothers. But these are brothers that have seen different iterations of the culture. And the brother Marv, a comedian on the show, on the Chubb Rock Show, he was referring to a trend that he sees with his definition of AD. He calls AD after the passing of Tupac.
And
he
Biggie.
saw it. Huh?
And Biggie.
And Biggie, for sure. Of course. He was referencing the entire vibration and shift that he saw specifically in the culture, with our culture. And part of that conversation was on how the perspective and the palette of different women have changed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And just specifically, a lot of brothers, if you don't got your stuff together, you might get embarrassed quick out here, because queens out here stepping and they ain't afraid to step on some necks if they need to. So from your perspective in that conversation, just chime that in real quick as we talk about, again, healing these different generational disconnects. You want to share what you shared on that show real quick?
Sure. Also, big shout out to Lisa and Aunt Karen that are in the mix. Niecy Lou on Instagram. We see y'all. We appreciate y'all. Shout out to everybody tuning in on
Big
TikTok
love,
too.
big
I
love.
see you.
Shout out to the queens
everybody
in the
on
building.
YouTube. I see you. I appreciate you. But yes. So I want to also, before I answer the question, I want to also point out that last night when we were watching the Earn Your Leisure podcast, Kenny Burns made a similar point about how the culture significantly shifted. Shout out to Cuzzo. He's in the building too.
Yes,
Cousin
Lord.
AJ, appreciate y'all, everybody in the mix.
In the building.
Kenny Burns had made a similar point last night when we were watching the Earn Your Leisure podcast about how after like 96, after 97, I was born in 97, Daze was born in 95, by the way, there were some things that changed in the culture. We were more focused on material possessions. We were more focused on the numbers, on the dollars. There was a shift when that East Coast, West Coast, beef really shook up hip hop culture and essentially black culture. So what Daze was referencing, that we recently discussed in the Chubb Rock Show, was just how in that same dynamic of the focus on the numbers and less on the heart, the women, we have kind of shifted our focus too. As women, we are here to be, the seat of spirituality, to give birth to new ideas and to birth love, right? That's where our power lies. But we've seen, especially in my lifetime, a shift to focus more on some of the things that you might consider more masculine traits, right? Chasing the dollar, chasing fame, or even being so engulfed in the idea of we need to compete and we need to be better than men. We are better than men. And to some extent, I love my women. To some extent, I kind of agree. Sometimes, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I would prefer a woman to deliver a certain message or to do something than I would want a man to do it. I can be honest about that bias. And in some circumstances, I think that that's very justified. But like I said on the show, for me personally, I think that it's a nuance to everything. And that's what makes it so tricky to say anything is black and white, anything is all masculine, anything is all feminine, especially in 2024, how these lines have blurred so much. And what Daze and I are trying to do, and to help those that, are tuning in right now, is how we can just distinguish it and stand in our own individual power. For me, when it comes to the dollars, I grew up in a household that I was well taken care of. I grew up in suburbia, you could say upper middle class to some extent. So I'm not going to front and act like, I don't enjoy the finer things in life and I like to be taken care of. I won't, I'm not going to front about that. But in my journey of becoming an adult, I've realized the importance of the dollar. I don't think I fully recognized that when I was growing up. And now that I have to pay my own bills and all those kind of things, new perspective has risen up in me in my adulthood. So I wouldn't say that I'm someone that's materialistic unnecessarily, right? I still want to be taken care of, but I'm not going to put all that pressure either on Daze to do. I think that, that's a traditional mindset, which I'm not afraid to he's the breadwinner and I'm the one at home. We could definitely explore that kind of dynamic, but I'm also a certain type of person where I like to do work. I like to, feel like I'm impacting outside of just the home, of how I can, really make a difference in this world. And I think that that's where a lot of women are. We are realizing our power and our strength is outside of the home. And now we're just trying to navigate these murky waters of what that actually looks like, especially to still let men be men and let women be women in these, heterosexual cis dynamics. I know there's nuance to everything now. But
and each person has to be each person. Again, as you discover your identity, you are called to teach others how to treat you.
Yeah.
And again, every single time, I have to rise above all false evidence appearing real. I have to rise above fear. And that is a major assignment on a daily basis, moment to moment, to come back to self, to come back to peace, to come back to confidence. But you know the deal, baby girl. You can be as bad as you want to be. You can be whoever you want to be. Grown woman. You know what I'm saying? And the fact of the matter is, because I've gotten to know myself so well over these years, it doesn't bother me none. Until there's a breach in my peace of mind based on a collective dynamic that we've agreed to.
Okay. Can you elaborate?
Essentially, again, if you want a metaphor to help crystallize this, if you have a delicate child,
okay, give me the visual.
And there is a agreement that one parent is going to pick up that child from school, and one parent doesn't do that, that can leave you in a piece disturbed, because now that other parent might have to scramble because of a negligent action on their partner's side, a lack of communication.
Yeah.
So that is very sensitive, because in that kind of predicament, when you are partners on something, and we have our baby right now being our business, and certainly all honor to that journey of bringing life onto this planet, is definitely not something to take lightly. So again, all across the board, if there's something, again, because a kid is pretty much somebody's heart outside of their body.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to, again, also taking care of our inner children, our inner child, if there's a level of commitment or expectation for one party to be committed and loyal and to give a lot of themselves, and then not to have communication on the other side for major moments, it's a dangerous predicament.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's a very dangerous predicament. And that's why you have to, again, come back to your truth every single day, recognizing that it's a blessing to collaborate with others on life, but to be dependent on any other human being is a very dangerous thing. Again, it's one thing when you don't have a choice, when you are a child that can't take care of yourself. But once you enter a certain territory and you allow yourself to be taken care of, but then don't thoroughly understand those consequences. Because if one parent is not going to be responsible with, again, picking up a child from school, putting them in a precarious situation, potentially putting them in a political dynamic where they could experience some stress. Because, you know, sometimes when you don't pick up the kids on time, it's a little bit of a conversation with administrators, because now you're holding up other people in their real lives. So all across the board, that's why certain parties, again, request sole custody. Because if you're not going to honor something that I value, something that can affect my peace of mind, and that's where, again, the conversation around fidelity, if you explore the variety of different relationship constructs, whether it be monogamy, polyamory, or whether it be, again, being in love and business together, there's a responsibility that comes with that. So I think it's a beautiful thing to look at all versions of ourselves. And every single time, I'm just grateful to have honest conversations and for my fearlessness. Because, again, this is not my first rodeo in pursuing love and recognizing that, hey, even though I might not have a vision, this person doesn't align with my vision. So I might have to hit a maneuver. Okay, this not working out. Wish you the best. Let me get myself intact and keep on moving forward. Let me keep my head up and keep on moving forward, because I cannot control this other individual.
Totally.
So that's where it's a blessing to, again, just share this platform and speak on these things, because all across the board, we see it left and right. Drama here with this couple, drama there with that couple. And it's something that is almost inevitable to have some level of challenge in any relationship. When you're trying to do something big, when you're trying to do something major, there are going to be challenges.
Yeah.
But how do you prepare? How do you come in to that space with a responsible mindset and know what you're signing up for? And do you have a game plan when you're hit off guard with certain things? Is there a process of solution?
Respect to you, Daze, and I definitely agree with you. I think where I feel a little sensitive sometimes, right, is in that whole dynamic of whose roles are what, who does what, all those different things. And, you know, I think I've always appreciated that you've always been candid and you're always keeping it real. Sometimes it's a little too real for me, but I appreciate that you pull that out of me, because you definitely get me in my, you know, my days, right, in my zone of like, damn, okay, I didn't like how he said that, but why? Why did that trigger me in a way, or why did I feel that way about it? And I think a lot of us women have to look within a little bit more, why we might feel a little sensitive around certain conversations, or when a man might say something that hits that nerve for us. Before we go to pointing the blame or getting upset with whoever might said it, this is in all relationships, not even just a gender thing. Before we get upset and point the finger at somebody else about how they said something, analyzing within ourselves, okay, why did that get at me? Because nothing is worth the, you know, stress of getting out of character ever, you know, as much as possible if we can avoid it. So I definitely hear what you're saying about communication and keeping things transparent. And what's difficult, I think, in this modern day when it comes to relationships is that in some ways we were at a deficit. Half of us grew up in divorced households. Half of us, you know, did not see what a healthy relationship looked like consistently. So when we're out here in this wild, wild west of dating, especially my millennials and Gen Zers, we are definitely feeling that impact of like, dang, none of us really know what we're doing out here, and we just all just trying to figure it out together. So that is a beautiful thing, because in some ways I see us as a generation redefining what a relationship looks like and what it means to have a healthy household. But on the other side, a lot of us are taking, you know, that shot in the dark. And I definitely felt that at times in our relationship, right, that we're just kind of taking a shot in the dark at things. It can be as calculated as we want it to be, and we can feel like God is definitely ordaining our steps. but we felt what it's like when people are not on our team, or people aren't all totally believing in us and what we're doing. And I think a lot of millennials and Gen Zers feel that too. We're all just trying to make a way, and a lot of ways, a new way, heal stuff that we didn't even know we needed to heal, right, from generations and generations before us. So it's a nuanced conversation, and it's definitely important. And I appreciate that, we can take this moment on air to kind of address what we've been going through, because we're a couple, y'all. We a real couple. We really are in a relationship. We really live together. We really are. What we talk about, we actually really go through. And we have been going through our own little thing right here, right now, just because you are our radio family. So to keep things transparent. And communication has always been our strong suit, but also our kryptonite, because we can, as you can see, we love to talk. We don't mind talking for a long time. And sometimes when you talk a little too long, I think you might say things you don't mean, or some things might come up, or if you're not intentional. So I appreciate that we can at least just take this moment to keep it real about communication. And that is such a nuanced and journey type of thing. And remember always to analyze yourself first before you're pointing the finger at anybody else. Yeah.
Actual factuals. Hey, stay on your pivot, ladies and gentlemen. You are Moonwalking with Dawn Daze on 101 TKO Radio.
Yep. Back. You are Moonwalking with Dawn Daze on 101 TKO Radio. Big shout out to our TKO family, Skittles, 100 Bands. That song is lit, bro. And of course, this weekend, you can see her live and the rest of us at Stripperfest, Dawn Daze, and so many others, all part of our TKO family. So make sure that you are there. You want to be there. All of Atlanta, okay? It's going up. I'm telling you, you want to be in the building. We got plenty more that we want to show y'all and enjoy with us. So make sure you tuned in, okay? 101 TKO Radio.
ATL
Now,
was good.
What's up? What's up? So now that we're here and back and having a wonderful conversation, something we want to talk about is entrepreneurship. What does it look like when you got your own brand, you got your own money, trying to be a boss, trying to be a CEO, and put your own money up to build your brand? What do you think about that, Daze?
What's 100 bands?
Yep.
Hey, that money, the finance, how do you really put the fuel in the tank to your business? Cash rules everything around me. These are all notions that reign true, and realizing that there is a spiritual divine energy around money is also very important. That said, you gotta do the work. You have to respect the truth of your industry, of your market, of yourself. And to build something that means something, to sustain something that means something, you can't really leave a stone unturned. And ultimately, just like with every other topic we can discuss, being able to check yourself with humility and gratitude is very important. And then you balance that out with building a force field with knowing yourself. So when we think about today's ecosystem, I know there are a lot of you out there that can relate to looking for $1 to fund your music video, your film that you're working on.
Yeah.
If you have a brick and mortar business, if you're trying to get something going, whether it's on the merchandise side, if it's on the beauty and cosmetic side, there are a lot of levels and there are a lot of industries. Special shout out to all those doctors out there that got matched this week. I definitely saw that wave on social media.
Oh, yeah. Big congrats.
Of a lot of folks finding that placement. Again, shout out to all those that, go to medical school, go to law school, and navigate the layers of funding there with those parties. Again, there are different pockets of support that we can seek out. It's just important to find the right one for you and to be aware of how you manage that relationship. Because ain't no secret, the streets are the reason for a lot of moments regarding big money, regarding kickstarting things in this industry and in other industries as well.
Yeah.
Again, even you watching a show like Ozark, you see the levels of how money can look funny and a lot of different things, and the layers to the reasons that people start different endeavors. So when we're just putting ourselves in that mindset, we just want to make sure that we're securing the bag in a way that's going to serve our higher selves.
Yeah, and when you think about what it means to secure a bag for your business, you can't be afraid to do things that others haven't done or try things that you haven't considered before. The streets is one way people be making money, but, even working with the government, that's part of the finesse that we found with the Rochester Summer Soul Music Festival, and the city being a major factor in helping us put that festival on. Grants, they're all out there. It's just a matter of finding those ones that match for you. I know that we've experienced in real time, the money feeling a little funny outside of the festival, just in our own entrepreneurial endeavors and building up ourselves as a marketing agency. It takes that extra effort and a lot of times patience, and you got to have the faith, because I think a lot of times what we'll see is, I think I remember a statistic from college, someone saying that every like 1/3 of every business fails in the first year or something like that. And that comes down to faith. That comes down to continuing to try it from different angles. And it can be so hard, especially if you got a brick and mortar business. A lot of times, right, that you just think, okay, there's so much overhead. How am I going to make it happen? And we're just here to be those people for you to remind you that just keep going. Let this be a sign. Keep going, bro. You will find that partner. You will find that money one way or another. And a consistent advice that we'll give people that ask is before you overthink and overstress the business side of it, get your spirit right. Because I think a lot of what we've manifested and what we've been blessed with came less from our business acumen, which is great and is always there to support us. But the spiritual connection, the consistent prayer, the consistent desire to find that right partner, find that right money, and not putting it in the hands of people, of man, putting it in the hands of the universe and God. And I feel like that's like the biggest thing that we all can learn as entrepreneurs, and all of us, relate to God and the universe in different ways. Whether you're whatever you might be, I'm not even going to shout them out, right? There's so many different ways to connect. But I think we can all consistently agree across the board that you have to take it to a higher power outside of yourself when you're looking for that money, and that, especially when it's feeling a little funny, the prayer and consistency will see you through as long as you keep that faith. Just wanted to add that little asterisk there too,
Already. And it's no secret, especially in this modern day and with our primary priorities, sponsorships, partnerships.
Yeah.
It's a big territory. Being marketing professionals, in addition to our artistry, we've seen the amount of money that some of these major brands, these Fortune 5, 50, 100, 500 companies, how much they spend on the culture.
Yeah.
How much our culture really does move the needle. And that's where we have to be responsible in what we agree to create. What is the culture that we decide to curate?
Yeah.
And what are the layers of effects that has? If you take a bag in one season, you have to be aware of how that relationship, how you taking that money, might affect you in a future season. So
that foresight is so important. That's a big part of this faith journey, right? Also, big shout out to my grandma. Deer's in the building. Denise Valentine. Shout out to you, Queen.
Yes,
Tuning
Lord.
in from
Yes,
Instagram.
Lord.
And everybody on TikTok, we see you too. Thank you for your engagement. And if you're on YouTube, big shout out to you too, right? We love all the different ways of connecting. But the best way to connect is, without a doubt, the 101 TKO radio app. Just want to do that quick shout out. And I love what Daze was saying about sponsors and finding the right partners. Just because someone says they've got the money and they're ready to partner with you, that doesn't always mean that they're the ones, right? And so faith is so important, having that foresight to be able to look 5 months, a year, 5 years down the line with this partner and say, is this still going to be someone that I want to say I partnered with? I think we've experienced that in our own just work journey. Whether we were working days when we were working at PepsiCo and some of the impact that they've had on culture, good and bad. You working for Combs Enterprises, the impact that, of course, the CEO of Combs Enterprises has had on the culture, good and bad. We have to always just keep that, faith and knowing that we're showing up at the right time, and hopefully those partners that are aligned with us on that deep, higher spiritual level will be revealed too.
Absolutely. And this is where communication also becomes very, very critical and important. In real time, from the love to the business. I have so much confidence in myself. And I say that respectfully because that confidence has been built through picking myself back up. And when you fall, you can do so in a graceful manner. How you get back up is incredibly significant. Thinking about the levels of perseverance throughout different chapters in life and that divine fortification, again, 4 years after the world shut down, a lot of those sentiments that were on my spirit then reign true now. And that continues to fortify my confidence as I move forward. Mm-hmm. So, all love and respect, but with any deal, whether it's love or business, are you able to walk away from the table? And that's where, again, we have to be poetic. We have to be humble in how we move. I'm just grateful that I've been an individual that since I've been conscious, I want to earn whatever I'm given.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very valuable sentiment to have. And shout out to all those that share that sentiment, that really go out here and that are serious about earning whatever they're given and being very diligent in what they take. Again, from love to business, can you walk away from the table and still keep your mind, heart, soul, body, ecosystem intact? That's a critical aspect to negotiations and to getting what you deserve in a lot of these situations. And that's why I'm going to continue to reiterate it. You know what I'm saying? In private, on air. You know, it's a blessing to share this space with people. And I'm on a campaign right now, being very, transparent, of teaching Michaela's entire ecosystem about how to treat me. I've had, journeys, and I'm still doing it with my family as well. But as we take on this opportunity and privilege of combining our ecosystems, it's a critical priority for me to understand my vision that has us here and what I saw when nobody believed in it and what my perseverance has done. And that's the same thing in business. Again, these love and business conversations are very closely tied together. So if you know you were putting in thousands of dollars on yourself and you've been pursuing music for 10 years, when you first get somebody noticing you, are you just going to take that deal? Auntie in the building. Shout out to Mom Boss. Yes, Lord. You have to be aware of your value. You have to analyze your value and look yourself in the mirror day in and day out and stand on that conviction. Stand in that confidence. Because when you go into these rooms, you will be tested. You will be tested to accept more than you're actually worth. Again, in love and in business. I do not care who the person is. This goes for me when I look in the mirror. Because everybody has the right to get what they deserve. And everybody has the right to put up a force field, to put up boundaries that enforce their greatest good. And we have the right to, again, stand in that. And then if we all have that free will, we have to respect when others exercise theirs.
Yeah, and just trust that the consequences are what they're meant to be. Big shout out to those tuning in on TikTok. We got both of Amir sisters in the building. Shout out to Lonzy. Shout out to Isha Boo.
Big fight.
And shout out to Nisi Arian. Shout out to the whole crew that's here right now. Appreciate y'all.
In the building. It's a family affair.
It's a family affair.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, but that perseverance is real, baby. And I respect you, to letting the world know that, yeah, you are going through some things right now with my family. We're all going through some things right now.
I've been going through things since the day I was born. This ain't nothing. This ain't nothing new. You know what I'm saying? This is a beautiful thing. This is something that I've been prepared for. So, as far as I see it, this is all part of the plan.
That's real.
This is all what I've been told since day one. So,
pressure makes diamonds.
I'm blessed. It's all working out exactly how it's meant to. So
I love that.
That's great. I'm not at all again flustered or affected, and that's the blessing of standing in your truth and to be able to stand in any room again, whether it's your job and you need to demand your value and worth. It's that faith, that knowing it's gonna work out no matter what, and that's the beautiful thing of turning my back. That confidence was built during the times where we weren't speaking, and when I left the comfortable job, when I left corporate America, and I just knew I worked hard my entire life. I've been a big-headed, straight-A's little man since I was 5 years old. Going to an Ivy League institution, the best business school in the world, being tested in a variety of different ways there, through love, through business, being an entrepreneur, having serious relationships there, taking a risk of embracing relationships there. It all evolves to where we are now, and it's a blessing to have, again, my family, my ecosystem. And again, it's just a blessing. So the every way I'm gonna describe it every time is in confidence, in love, and the biggest thing that I just want to continue to reiterate is that even when we spoke to the brother Joe Salter here at Privy Stonecrest, And he spoke about his experience being an actor, a musician, a video game developer. So much of it is believing in yourself and not standing for others devaluing you.
Snaps.
So
That was some bars. That was some bars. We're going to keep moonwalking with Dawn Daze, y'all. Keep it locked. It's 101 TKO Radio.
yes, Lord. skywalking, yes, Lord. Moonwalking with Dawn Daze on 101 TKO Radio. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome.
We got a lot of family in the building. Shout out to my big sis, Ish. Shout out to Big Bro. You know what I'm saying? Rel in the building. Shout out to Nisi, Air. Yo, the whole village. Shout out to Jay. And again, Butterfly Line again. Shout out to my other twin. You know what I'm saying? This is my twin flame. Butterfly Line, that's my twin sister. They was born in 9-7. I'm born in 9-5. But y'all know the vibes. Y'all know the vibes, man. Again, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing just to rise above all false evidence appearing real, being the clear evidence every time. Gonna continue to let you know that. I go by the name Amir Daze, but my name is Amir Bayuna. Bayuna means the clear evidence. So that's what we're going to continue to present. And during these special seasons, when we have the opportunity to channel our art in a new way, again, it's just beautiful to reflect on the journey. So it's a lot of things going on in entertainment. For those that may not be aware, a big reason that we moved to the A is the vision on telling stories on the biggest of screens in the most divine way possible. And that's why we've been diligent in how we're moving and how we're shaking. So when we have these different ecosystems like Privy Stonecrest, like 101 TKO Radio, we're able to connect those dots in this new ecosystem. Because I did not grow up in Georgia, in Atlanta, Georgia.
Neither did I.
That was not the case for us. So this is a new beginning. And when you take that leap of faith, it comes with its challenges, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But that's what it's supposed to come with. Anything that is worth having, you're going to have to earn it. You're going to be challenged. So that's where it's a blessing. And all those that may be on a pursuit for a certain trophy on any level, that Oscar, that Grammy is certainly a major conversation. That, again, Super Bowl or NBA Finals ring. We have to be aware of the different challenges that can have us, as we said before, focus on the destination more than the journey.
Yes, snaps.
So that's where, again, we are here to certainly highlight these different amazing moments that have been spectacles. Again, award shows, being a youngin', being able to dream and say, wow, I want to strive for that. There's no doubt that as we continue to learn more and more, as information continues to become more and more accessible, it's no secret. It's not a secret that you will be challenged. There are people that may or may not be tested to sell their souls on their rise to achieving this goal or that goal. And your journey, Michaela, Miss Dawn, Miss LaDawn, where have you been challenged to keep your soul intact?
All's my life I has to fight. No, but for real, keeping the soul intact that's very real, Days. Honestly, it genuinely is an everyday thing. I think the more that I become aware of myself, the more I realize how much I have to fight for that just spiritual groundedness to fight for my soul. I mean, I'll take it back as far as like when I'm first day at kindergarten, right? Like so shy and so afraid, but that really coming from a place of desiring to protect myself. And then as I've gotten older, that same, I'm a Pisces moon, so I can be very, very sensitive and very emotional. So I feel as though the more that I have gotten older, the more I've realized just how sensitive I am. Not only realized it though, but like accepting that I'm a very sensitive person and realizing that there's like literally nothing wrong with that. And that realization has been so liberating for me, especially in my relationship with Days and my relationship with my family, and just honoring the fact that I am sensitive. And when it comes to keeping my soul intact, I'm constantly fighting to protect my sensitivity and remembering that I'm sensitive for a reason, and remembering that it's my superpower, not my kryptonite. So I guess that kind of answered your question, because I genuinely feel like every day I'm fighting to keep my soul intact. Just the sheer fact that I'm just so sensitive and so just particular about the energy I surround myself in and around. And even when I'm in an environment where I don't feel comfortable or I don't feel like I can be fully myself, still finding a way to just stand up for who I am and stand up for my energy and stand up for my essence. And a lot of times I'm realizing that you don't have to, scream at the top of the mountain to be respected. Sometimes silence is a great way of honoring yourself and claiming that respect and keeping, again, your soul intact.
Right on, right on. I got another one for you.
Okay.
We spoke on our experience in New Orleans. Shout out to the Big as the What tour, you know what I'm saying? It's all a blur. You mentioned that you appreciated Sexy Red's performance.
Mm-hmm.
As you build your brand, what are some things that you consider guardrails as far as what you would or would not do, and why is that?
Yeah, good question. Just again, big shout out to Sexy Red. I think we mentioned this earlier in the show that we are all our own individual stars. So I am not desiring to be the air quote next Sexy Red or the air quote next Ice Spice, right? I'm desiring to be me, the Mickey LaDawn. And so when I come up with what my parameters are as far as like performing and showing off or whatever, it does depend on the situation and the environment, but I can say confidently that you're not going to see me doing a whole bunch of other stuff with other men, because I've decided that is something that I'm too sensitive for, and it puts too much of a target on my relationship. So that would definitely be one. Trying to keep things, if you're going to see me with a man, it's going to be Daze. And if it's not Daze, it's probably a member of my family. That being definitely a big one. And honestly, outside of that, we can have a lot of different conversations, even like when it comes to clothing. I've always tried to maintain a level of modesty, but I'm a young woman. I've had my moments where I've showed a little coochie, showed a little booty, you know what I mean? But overall,
Not coochie.
I'm gonna keep it real. Why lie? Why lie? Majority of the time, though, I do keep it very, as I like to say, PG, maybe a little PG-13, in what I choose to put on my body and how I clothe myself. I definitely think of Proverbs 31. Every time I'm wearing an outfit that's showing a little booty, showing a little coochie, I'm like, is this Proverbs 31 woman? Am I giving Proverbs 31 woman? Am I clothed in strength and dignity right now? So that being something that, especially as I get older, I'm trying to be more aware of, because again, you don't have to be the sexiest woman in the room is not always the one that's wearing the least amount of clothes, and just how you can exude that in other ways and other ways of confidence. I'm a dancer, and so I've also learned how to do a jump split, do a little twerk while I'm in the split. I'm not afraid to do those things. That's not something that I would say is outside of my guardrails if the song is necessary for it. If y'all have ever been to one of my twerk fitness classes, you already know how we get down in there. So I guess does that answer your question, Daze?
Sure. It's your answer.
I gotta switch it to you. How? Okay, let's see. What do I want to ask you? I would say that for you, I already see the ways that you keep your soul intact, so I'm not going to dive deeper there. But I am curious on.
What's up?
I am curious on what your guardrails are as far as an artist, like what you would or would not do. I think I have some idea, but I want to hear your response.
Absolutely. So there's a beautiful thing about trusting your gut right there in the present moment. There's a beautiful thing about that. So that's going to be my perpetual answer.
Okay.
In that moment, based on the culmination of all my experiences, what do I think is the best choice? Because I'm never going to put myself in a box.
So are you going to have big booty hoes in your music videos?
The fact of the matter is, I've been a leader. No, I've been a leader in this relationship. And again, this is where, I love to have this conversation, because I don't want to take away anything from anybody else in their lifestyle. But based on how we met, the environment that we met in, again, Harlem, New York, you're 21, I'm 23. Ain't no secret that, again, getting involved in Greek life, Divine Nine Greek life, came with its own pressures and energies and toxicities, if you will. So I'm no stranger to the danger. You did what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a situation where in all of those settings, when I think about what I gravitate towards, I love beauty. But again, when you confuse beauty with booty, it's a very delicate thing.
Yeah.
You have to be responsible, because it's one thing to look at something, it's another thing to actually engage.
Yeah.
And knowing my spirit throughout my life, I'm an experiential individual. So with being aware of all the different risks and being mindful, and again, this is where it's very important to talk about sex education with our children, with our youth,
Yeah.
all those out here that are still developing, and at all ages, because we could all be susceptible to spiritual warfare in the sexual sense, in different senses. And again,
Yeah.
when we have a lot of media nowadays, things have been normalized. Ain't no secret that our generation, growing up with the internet, growing up with Wi-Fi, you have a certain level of access to risque content that you may not be approved for, that you might not have been given a level of A-OK from your parentals, from your guardians.
Yeah.
So knowing
Premature
that,
sexual exposure.
yeah, I mean, it's a very real thing. So when I've embraced this process, my mindset has always been, what does God have for me? And again, transparently, I've tried to push it to certain territories where it's like, oh, me being in a relationship with, again, one woman at different times, again, being called somebody that was always super committed, or, just maybe being a little bit too much of a romantic when everybody outside just trying to have fun. And I'm saving her when she don't want to be saved. Again, I learned from those chapters, and I'm like, all right, well, man, right before I meet you, should I be in this space where I'm just out here, I'm outside, and it's just like, I'm just, I'm for the community. I'm for the streets, if you will. It was tempting. And that's where, with my mindset, it's very important for me to recognize who I am at the core.
Yeah.
And I'm a competitor. When I want something and I like something, I want to experience it. And respectfully, I want to experience it in its entirety. I'm not the kind of guy that, again, wants to build a whole bunch of fantasy worlds that aren't a reflection of my real life. And so that's where being very intentional with dropping music videos in a major way for the first time, being able to be patient. I did not necessarily see you coming or predict you as vividly as our journey has been.
Yeah.
But I knew it deep in my gut, deep in my spirit, that like, yo, being patient is gonna is gonna work out. Staying true to myself is gonna work out. And again, I've seen some negative things that have happened on some music video sets because that line gets blurred.
Definitely. Movie
So,
sets too.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. It's like, everybody want to have fun until somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Whether it's emotionally or physically. And I've just had enough experiences that have informed me. Again, shout out to my beautiful sisters, my beautiful niece that are present. You know what I'm saying? Yes, Lord. All those on the YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We appreciate y'all tuning in so much.
Thank you for your engagement.
Definitely continue to engage. We appreciate y'all so much. Y'all giving us life right now. So at every chapter, just being responsible with how I move and how my movements affect those that I love.
Definitely. Well, we almost done with the show, y'all, but we got a little bit more that we want to, talk to you about. So keep it locked. Moonwalking with Dawn Daze on 101 TKO Radio.
Yeah.
What's up? It's your boy DJ Superstar on the chat.
Moonwalking with Dawn Daze on 101 TKO Radio.
Yes, Lord.
We're about to close out the show, y'all, but before we do, a big special shout out once again to it being Pi Day 314. Shout out to that. I just want to give y'all a little bit of what those numbers mean, okay? So pi, if you don't know, of course, 314 is what we all honor it as.
3.14. Yeah.
Thank you. But there's a whole bunch of other numbers after that 14, okay? And it represents infinity. A lot of times in this life, we realize that the more we learn, the more we realize that we don't know. So honor today the fact of infinite possibility and all the things that can transcend when you just humble yourself to realize that there is still so much more that we do not know, right? This life in this world is limitless. We can use all we want, science and numbers, to try and make sense of it, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to feeling in that inner knowing within. So I'm sending all those good vibes out to you guys, and remember to trust your inner knowing. Today we're in a waxing crescent moon in Taurus, so not only should you be trusting your inner knowing, but maybe you should do a little something that treats you, maybe some pie. That could be a good way to go. Shout out to all my Taurus out there.
Indeed, indeed. And if you happen to be celebrating Ramadan, that started this week as well. Much love to those also celebrating Lent and looking forward to Easter coming up. It's a beautiful thing because growing up, I had a very beautiful, holistic spiritual experience that has been a blessing to step into. Certainly, always those lessons that we learn along the way, and again, there's always room for improvement in every generation. So gotta extend that gratitude. Again, my father identifying with Islam, my mother identifying with Christianity, gave me a unique perspective. And at different times, that perspective could feel conflicting or challenging. But again, as I've grown older, I've realized how much it's important to have love reign supreme and not have different spiritual perspectives divide us, but really learn from each other.
Definitely.
So,
humility goes a long way.
Shout out to all those fasting for one reason or another. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So you might have to wait to enjoy some of your pie after sundown. I know that goes for individuals like myself.
Yeah, and me too.
So it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing just to be in this season, of gratitude, of growth, of humility, and to clear the way and know that we are going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
That we will still be nourished, that we won't just hit 0% and fall out because we haven't eaten anything. Again, if you do have health complications, you need to take care of those. Again, don't get it twisted. Know yourself, know your worth. But again, just want to send special vibrations out to all those celebrating this time of year. I've been doing this since I was 13, and I'm going on 30 now. You know what I'm saying? I'm pushing 30. You know what I'm saying? But I'm 29. Get it right. I'm still in my 20s. You dig? But it's dope. It's dope. It's dope just to know that God is dope.
Yeah, and if y'all want to keep stay in contact with us, since we won't be back here till next Thursday, make sure y'all follow us on all platforms. Amir Daze, AMIRDAZE, and Mickey Ladon, MIKKILADAWN. And for all things tied to this show, the NASA family is your way to go on YouTube and on Instagram.
Yes, Lord.
To keep on moonwalking.
Yes, Lord.
With
Make
Dawn
sure
Daze.
you also download that 101 TKO Radio app. Follow 101 TKO Radio on all socials as well, because there's a whole suite of amazing shows. I know we got Queen Naya over here.
Shout out, yeah.
Yes, Lord, yes, Lord. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of things cooking up. A lot of beautiful things going on. So we all just getting warmed up. So the momentum is real, and spring is right around the corner. So let's make it happen, y'all.
Yeah. Thank y'all. We love y'all. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, Lord. You are Moonwalking with Dawn Daze on 101 TKO Radio.